Hello and welcome to an awful lot of running a Doctor Who podcast.
Yes, it's good to be back again. Help.
Today you'll be looking at the Robot Revolution, Us,
Indeed. A brand new series of Doctor Who stars.
and there is a lot to cover today. Taken
Yes, what a full episode of new stuff. Over.
from robots to that cheeky Miss Fleur cameo,
And we're really, quite excited for this podcast.
Hold on a second.
Help.
Us,
Stars.
Taken,
Over.
the
Podcast.
Those sons of bitches. Right, that's it. Forget doing SARS Corner this year. I'm sitting in with them for the whole bloody series if we're going to keep this cheek up. Editing me, cue the titles.
Yeah, welcome to an awful lot of running. I am Jack, one part of your usual hosting team, and joining me, as ever, the Miss Belinda Chandra co-host to my Miss Belinda Chandra co-host. It's published author, Dungeon Daddy, Robin Fole.
Woo! Oh. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. Woo!
You know what? I needed Doctor Who. I did this Saturday. I needed it, and I was doing those dum-de-dums like ever. I was, and I tell you what. Now you've heard it from the opening skit there, anyway. But we are joined by not just today, but for all our season 2 coverage. It's the Miss Belinda Chandra editor to our Miss Belinda Chandra co-host. It's Star.
Hello. I said I was going to be here the whole bloody series, keeping these two in check.
Yeah. And you know what? Beyond just helping the editing side of it, to actually be here to tell us to shut up if you need to, it's also really lovely to have you here. Because look, Stars Corner was a lovely part of the podcast last year. It was, but it's really nice to have you be with us to actually discuss the episode.
No,
It's nice. I'm not stuck in my little box.
Yes. No, you're not. No. But remember now, don't overstep the mark, because we'll send you back to that box.
The mark, you say? Of the Ronnie?
Okay, so yeah, no, we are talking about the most recent episode of Doctor Who that aired on the 12th of April, 2025. It's season 2, episode 1, The Robot Revolution, written by Rusty Davis.
A quick addition while we mentioned the date. Happy birthday to my mum, who now listens to this. It was her birthday on the 12th.
Oh,
Yes,
happy birthday.
to Stars Mum as well, yeah. Thank you so much.
Carry on.
Yeah, no, all I was going to say was written by Rusty Davis, directed by Peter Hoare.
We apologize for any mispronunciations.
Don't get me to try and pronounce that, whatever you do.
Remembers, which is it again?
If you are the director of this episode, please put your actual name to Jack in a voice recording via an awful email.
Please, absolutely, yeah, no. But no, we've got a brand new series of Doctor Who. We've got new episodes to talk about, and it's we said this before. It's really lovely just to have one episode. As much as I love the double premiere last year, it's really lovely just to have the one and go, this is the Doctor Who for the week, and really sort of enjoy that to then look forward.
It definitely does help for us to solely focus on each episode as they come out, because the last thing you want is for 2 episodes to come out and for you to put all your attention and all your enthusiasm in one and kind of just leave the other in the background like, please, sir, I'd like some attention. But no, it's lovely. It really is that we're getting each episode weekly, it allows us, the fans, to sort of really to engage with them and talk about them. It's not just all dumped as a whole series straight onto BBC iPlayer. We can just like take our time with each one.
Oh, I worry if they ever start doing that. I worry that'll be the true sort of death pangs of Doctor Who if they ever do start doing that. Personally,
like there's fors and against for dumping all your content like that. You know, sometimes you do just want to have a binge watch of a series, but I think for something like Doctor Who, which rewards its fans with time, space, and all of that goodness anywhere and everywhere, if you were to just dump it all in one go, you just wouldn't appreciate as many of the episodes as you should. Because no matter your opinion of episodes, there's always things to appreciate, whether it be set designs, the costumes, the practical effects, obviously the acting and the like. And, you know, if it was ever all just dumped on there, you'd miss stuff. And that'd be a real shame.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. I really love that you're bringing up those sort of points which should be praised because, well, I'm going to be completely honest here. I'm going to be upfront. I've watched this episode one time. Usually I like to crank two watches in, a watch and a rewatch, and throw in the confidential as well, and maybe the behind the scenes video they put on YouTube. Might even tune into the official Doctor Who podcast, which, guys, we outlived the official Doctor Who podcast.
Whoa, what? Wait, we outlived it? Whoa.
We outlived it.
Wow.
We outlived it. So let's move on from that. But
Yep.
I feel like I'm going to say I'm less prepared than usual this week. Some sort of personal circumstances contributed to that, which we'll get into at some point, I'm sure. But yeah, if I was to sum up this episode in sort of a word, a review, I'd say, in a sentence even, I would say, yeah, it was all right.
Interesting. If we're going for that angle, and folks, you are in for a treat. You are in for professionalism tonight, as both me and Jack have only seen this episode once, and I've also not quite had the time for the behind the scenes stuff. So, that's great. But that's why
we're leaning on you a lot tonight.
Yes. Oh, yes. I was building up to that. Star is our savior.
Amateurs.
Yeah. It's all right, now that we've got Star editing the podcast and carrying the show, what else do we need to do?
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure at this point, Star can just feed us into some AI and have everything regurgitate. Oh, wait, maybe no. Maybe AI bad. Maybe AI no good.
I wonder what gave you that impression. It wasn't.
I also don't want to put you guys into anyone called Alan.
Yeah. Okay. I suppose let's just let's start things off from the very start, shall we? When we start the episode, why is Belinda cosplaying as Ruby?
Wait, is she wearing the exact same clothes?
She's at least wearing the jacket.
Yeah.
At least wearing the denim jacket. And it's very similar. I couldn't help. When I watched it, I literally turned to Jodie and I said, wait, why is Belinda just dressed up as Ruby?
wait, is it like that end of Empire Strikes Back with Lando and like Hudson in his costume?
Okay. Hear me out. Okay. That the start of the episode, I assume you're talking about the flashback, the 17 years.
Yeah, the 17 years ago, yeah.
Okay. It is the same jacket. This is my theory.
Okay.
Gets it, puts it in a charity shop, Ruby buys it later.
Wow. There you go.
I have solved the mysteries of Doctor Who.
There it is. Could just be, yeah. That's what it is. Yeah, no. But obviously, yeah, we meet Belinda on a park bench as her boyfriend at the time. She must only be like 16, 17, quite young at that point. Her boyfriend, Alan, buys her one of those stars that you can, one of those things, on the planet we have here where you sort of buy a name for a star, which I'm always a bit iffy about, because I'm always like, is there an official body behind this now? Do people buy the same star? Like,
no, they can't afford me.
Oh,
who's bought Joy? That's what I want to know.
Oh my god, someone could have bought Joy.
Yeah,
You wait, Jack. Someone's going to now pause the podcast and quickly go online and see if they can buy Joy the Star.
Money doesn't buy you happiness, but it can buy you joy.
It can buy you something, yeah. Yeah, no. Obviously, then we skip forward 17 years to present day, and we have Belinda working as a nurse. I almost felt like we dropped into an episode of Casualty or something there, to be honest, or an episode of Holby City or something. It's really lovely to sort of see that represented. Certainly in Doctor Who. To finally have we have another nurse joining us. I think the last sort of medical professional we had on the TARDIS as well was Rory way back in
it's been a while.
Yeah, so it's really nice there to see that. And it's also Belinda is 33. She'd be, I imagine, around the same age as Varda Sethu. And it's sort of like, it's interesting because she lends a very different dynamic to someone like Ruby, who is just turned 19 in the Church on Ruby Road, isn't she?
Yeah.
And, she has a very different relationship with the Doctor than I feel like they're setting up with Belinda here. And I'm really loving the sort of depth that's given 15, just in terms of her being a bit more challenging of him and not that instant, best friend, sort of, giddy schoolgirls that, they described each other before. It's, Belinda's a woman who's lived her life, she's still early 30s, yeah, but she's not taking bullshit. And I love that.
No, you can tell that she's going to really take charge in this series, and that's great. I know we've kind of have spoken about this and said like how much we loved Ruby and the Doctor's relationship, but it did also suffer from there were parts of it that we didn't see on screen. They were like sort of noticeable time skips. And so for this to actually be able to reward us, the viewers, as watching their relationship gradually grow and adapt, and for her to be like quite challenging towards the Doctor as well, I think that's going to be so different to Ruby, which in just one episode, myself and many others are really digging Belinda, okay, this is a really great new dynamic. It's good to have a companion who's a hesitant companion, and it's going to be really interesting to see how that changes or grows throughout the series.
I just like that we've got a companion that's calling the Doctor out on things that I think a lot of companions already should have, but they're all caught up in the enigmatic, whimsical alien aspect, which is fine. But
that's definitely one of Ruby's sort of shortcomings as a character, and I say that someone who adores Ruby and who adores Millie Gibson's portrayal of her. But it's really telling now, seeing Belinda's relationship just in this first episode here, where she is questioning the Doctor on his bullshit, and again, like you say, not being wrapped up in that sort of enigmatic alien. I think back to like The Fam as well, where there's not so much of the challenging the Doctor, it's going along with it, it's seeing, the Doctor is this fantastical figure. It's really nice to see it, sort of done here.
Yeah, because it's nice to remember that like even heroes have flaws, and it's especially nice when they point them out, because sometimes they're not so obvious. Like a lot of the time, us as Doctor Who fans, he'll do a DNA scan, we won't think much of it, but that is actually quite a big deal. You are very much invalidating someone's personal info.
Absolutely, yeah. It's not the consent there that should be. Like, even, if you think about it, he even, like, at the end of Space Babies, he scans Ruby, doesn't he?
He does, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, nothing said about that. So it's like, okay, it's interesting to, and I do think that it's really interesting that we can sort of see this and Space Baby as sort of like companion pieces in the sense that, and I'm going to say it now. I think I'm trying to think, quality wise, I much preferred Space Babies than Robot Revolution. However, I think as the first episode to a series, Robot Revolution is better because it hits the beats that it should to set things up.
Okay. Like, Space Babies was never one of my favorite episodes. I could enjoy pieces of it. With this one, I kind of think I would prefer to watch Space Babies between the two. Like, we'll go more into it as we go throughout the episode, but for me, I think it's the end of this episode that I think is really gripping and really, really good, and what it was kind of my favorite part of the episode. And the rest of it,
the credits.
I was tempted to be like, my favorite part of the episode was when it finished. No, it's like I like what they're setting up, and we're going to go more into that when it gets there, because I've also got my potential worries with it.
Oh, absolutely. I think after last year, like, again, let's compare it to Space Babies, where the end of that ends with a promise, which isn't delivered in the series, is it?
No.
I feel that that's not the same sort of thing that's set up with this. I feel like they can't help. Basically, if they don't deliver on this promise, something weird happens where they don't even end up at Earth. So, it's fairly set up, isn't it, to go forward? So, yeah.
Well, we'll get there when we get there. But back to the episode itself, we see an aspect of her job, which I love when we get a moment to see characters back on Earth, like showing us what it is that makes them them. Like with Rose, we saw that she was working at like a typical kind of shop. And with Belinda, we see her actually being a nurse. We see her doing her work with like all sorts of different patients, talking about the different measurements for the fluids and everything they needed. I turned to my fiance, who's a nurse, and I was like, they're getting this all down right? And she was like, yeah, no, it sounds like they're getting all the techno jumbo right.
Good.
Those are my words, not hers. She'd put it a lot more better.
I love as well how in that scene in the hospital, we have her going about her daily life and the doctor's trying to find her, like already set up trying to find, Belinda Chandra because of, another sort of, I can't remember what I'm trying to say now, but, setting up that sort of, that breadcrumb trail. Yeah, the breadcrumb trail, being like, oh, here's something for you. Here's something to get you intrigued about, what's happening there. But, and I think it's a really funny bit where the doctor with his Sonic, is there asking the receptionist. He's like, I can't give out, people's addresses just like that. And he's like, oh, sorry, I got to do this. And use the Sonic. And all the power goes off. Just like, oops. I'm like, Doctor, how many people did you just kill?
Yeah.
I would like to point out you probably killed none. They have emergency backups for that kind of emergency. We're okay. The doctor didn't just do a mass burn out of the hospital.
I've seen people, which it doesn't make sense because obviously it's 2020, but I've seen people being like, this is what happened to Joy's mum.
Yes, I've seen this exact edit.
Like, oh no, please. Oh, it's horrible.
Fucking awful.
I know. Let's move straight on from that. Belinda's house is far too fucking clean for like a house share.
My god. Yeah,
And
completely.
also, like, I'm sorry. She says her landlord was like a not a very nice man, and it's like that makes sense. We've all had that situation before. Let's face it. But like, also, he lets you put like stuff up on the walls, which that ain't happening. Like, you've got like that freaking star certificate is nailed to the wall. Like,
Oh yeah, it's not even wall stickers, is it? Like wall
no,
stickers you can get away with, but a nail,
yeah.
putting a nail in your deposit there, that's what you're doing. But
Hey, yes,
hey,
Robin, very nice, yeah. And also, like, the kitchen's way too tidy. There should be dirty dishes everywhere. There should be shit on the stairs.
pizza
Like,
boxes. Pizza boxes
yes.
everywhere that have been left there a week, and you tell
Mhm.
the person, clean up the bloody mess. There's literal maggots inside that pizza box. Please clear it up. Yeah.
Robin, you okay, man? That felt like that was a waking trauma.
Look,
Like,
like I had friends in uni, I went over theirs all the time, and they left the same shitty pizza boxes that we had last week in their living room.
name and
Guys, I
shame.
love you.
Name and shame.
Moving on. They
Yeah.
don't listen to this, so that's all right.
Yeah. And then obviously we have the robots arrive to take Belinda away to Miss Belinda Chandra 1. So,
So
what do we think of the robot design?
Amazing. It's so clunky. I love it.
It's kind of that, and the rocket ship are given like that kind of like Buck Rogers style of like space adventure,
Yeah.
and I really like that personally.
the voice as well. The voice we all kind of messaged each other afterwards, being like, is this giving the impression of like K1?
Yeah,
And yeah, it's like there's a mixture of K1 and the classic like square-headed Cybermen sort of helmets. I find that kind of, oh yes, this is the way we speak. That kind of thing.
yeah, no. And what I love about as well, they've also got with their like the faces they have. It's kind of like the emoji bots from Smile, like at different parts. Like it flips around. Like I like that. Like that's really cool. Like sort of like I don't know if it's an intentional sort of callback, but I like it.
I feel like if well, when this does become an action figure, you'll have a little switch on the back to flick the face around.
If
And that,
if
that,
buddy, come on.
yeah,
Come on,
R.I.P.
man.
Beep the meat plush.
Oh.
We could have had it all.
yeah. But
Could've.
I've grown on the designs. At first, I was a bit like a little clunky, but then they've really grown on me. I can see what they were going for with those kind of classic, as you say, Buck Rogers sort of designs. Even the guns. The guns are like bigger than the hands, which is very kind of action figure. And I've really kind of done a 180 on them and be like, you know what? I like the big dumb guns.
I do like the big dumb guns.
I kind of want them to do that classic toy thing of it flicks out like sparks when they fire, but I guess that would be like a health hazard.
Yeah, that's not happening. You're really overestimating the Doctor Who toy landscape right now, Robin. Really overestimating. I think it's important to talk about something now that happens as the robots are taking Belinda away. And full context here, everybody. I'm going to get real for a second. The night before this episode aired was one of the toughest nights of my life and my family's life as well, because we due to a genetic condition, we had to have our 8-week-old kitten, brand new as of only the week before, had to take them to the vet, and Oreo was his name. He had to be put down, bless him, and it was horrible and a really tough decision, but the right one for him and the kindest one as well. But we all loved him very intensely in just a short amount of time. So when this episode has the fucking robots kill a cat, it's almost funny. It's almost funny in a way that, like, we were hurting so bad, and I sat and I watched it with Jodie and was like, oh, are you fucking kidding me? And like people messaged me, Star messaged me and said, yo, heads up, there's something in this.
Yeah, people were awesome who did that.
Yeah,
Really
and like
appreciate
people
that.
even gave me the timestamp, but we were just like kind of like, no, we just need to kind of see it. And it was, I did like sort of stifle a laugh just for the awkwardness of it. But yeah, not a fan of that. Not a fan. Not a fan at all.
No, I hated that. Like I was really enjoying the episode at the beginning, and that actually did like a real kind of nosedive for me. Actually, like me, my fiance, and my two parents all watching it in the same room, all did a noticeable kind of like, "Aw," and it was just like it felt really out of place for Doctor Who. Like, kill all the humans you want. We don't care about them, but an animal is like, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, and like to be fair, it's obviously it's just CGI. You don't even see the cat, before. You
yeah,
just see like the. But also, my personal circumstance, I just didn't need it. But that's that's
no,
just bad. That's bad luck, isn't it? To be fair. As the robots are taking Belinda to their ship, we obviously have ourselves Mrs. Flood, who's fulfilling the Susan Twist role this series. We have her appearing, and it's really interesting actually to see her there because it's implied then that she's Belinda's neighbor, but she's obviously, we know her to be Ruby's neighbor. And what's also interesting is that she straight up looks at the camera again and breaks that fourth wall again.
It does keep adding to like what is her deal because she's always breaking the fourth wall, and whether or not she's going to turn out to be a returning villain or something new, like what it's going to be, but.
I genuinely think, and here's my thing, now, and I have my own theories and I thought about things, but I don't want to talk about it in case they actually sort of come true. But like in my head, I'm like, personally, I think the only way it could be satisfying was if she was someone new, because there's no one in the sort of pantheon of Doctor Who that has the same sort of the thing where they break the fourth wall like that. Like they're not. There's no Deadpool. Unless, of course, you're looking into fan series, and heads up to the Groovy Doctor, Jed T. Rhodes.
There it is.
But there's no She-Hulk. It's strange to be like, well, what's happening here? Can I just say I love the whole bit where Belinda's going in the ship and the Doctor's in the TARDIS, and we get we sort of hit the time eddy or the what they describe it as the sort of like the the wump, the wump, it's, I love that. And it's the shot we see in the trailer, the Doctor's sort of like in his, for a start, gorgeous outfit, leaning back and sort of doing his hand thing and like the timey whiminess of it, sort of mucking about. Love that so much. Just really, there's some really cool shots in this. Like, I want to say bordering on like great,
Oh yeah, no, they've got that Disney money. They're gonna use it, my Joe.
Yeah, totally. I think there are sets that look really good. I'm not as big a fan of the bits of them on like the walkways where it just looks like a bunch of actors in front of a green screen.
Yeah. At least those scenes are short, but I completely agree with you. Like they're very kind of noticeable.
When we get to the planet, we meet Sasha 55, who's sort of there fulfilling this sort of like welcoming Belinda there to the planet and going into the sort of the throne room, they say, and she's gonna have to marry the AI. Obviously coming into things later on, and it's a big thing and it's sort of strange. And then they're like, oh, let's bring the historian out, and it's the Doctor who's been undercover for 6 months waiting for Belinda to get there. And we find out that apparently every ninth word the robots can't understand or something, because they're holding their Belinda there against their will. They're making her do this, and they're It's all totalitarian and it's dystopian. They're reigning over all the people there. And then it's real. There's resistance, obviously. And they're going to get Belinda out of there, aren't they? So it's yeah. I think for every ninth word the robots can't hear is a interesting concept. It's just sort of a shame that when we get to the sort of climax of the episode, it's abandoned.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get to that obviously when we get there, because I'm trying to avoid jumping ahead too far, because we really like this system. This really flows naturally, just going back through it. It took me a little while to sort of get used to the every ninth word at first. And I tell you what, I'm glad that Belinda was so damn smart, because if I was in this situation and the doctor was trying to do this with me, I'd just be like, what? It's like, and it's just like,
I love the idea that you're just like counting on your hand. You're like, yes, that sounds fucking super awesome. What? Huh?
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds like me. First episode, they don't even get through the whole series. We just dead because of me. Yeah.
I gotta ask you both here. Did the second Sasha 55 said that, I'm gonna travel the stars for the Doctor? Did you like dead? Dead. And then literally like 2 minutes later, not even that, even like maybe 30 seconds later, oh no. I think Ncuti does some really great stuff there, like the whole bit where he's given the history and then the every ninth word, masterclass acting wise. That bit again when Sasha 55 is killed by the robots, and it's that really hits I think as well. But I also love like that they get to the orb, which allows them to teleport, and orb, lovely orb, love the orb. It's orb in time. And he has that bit where he cries over it, and then he just sort of goes, right, okay. And it's really interesting to see that where he gives Sasha that moment, and then goes, right, I need to get on with things now. It's a really interesting quality of the Doctor we sort of see of stuff before. It's nice to see a Doctor who's sort of getting on with it, not doing some Tennant mopiness.
Well, it's okay, because Sasha 55 will live on in the 100 Big Finish projects that they eventually write for this.
Big Finish see a 6-month gap on the planet, and they go, it's free real estate.
Yep.
It's true.
You will cry over this character death of them being on screen for less than 5 minutes. You will eventually.
Oh yeah. And it's really, then we see the Rebel sort of base there, and I love how Belinda just gets into it, like instantly is back into, all the episodes she talks about how she's got to get back home, she has a shift, it's, that's really interesting, to have that sort of unwilling companion to this series now. But the second they're in that bunker, she instantly gets to work and helping the guy who's got a dislocated arm and pops it back in.
Yeah.
The X-ray blanket is really cool.
Oh, the blanket's great. That's a great use of like showing off future tech and it being like that kind of really cool and helpful. I really like that.
But also really cool of giving us the Doctor's, the lore dump of like, I'm a Doctor, I'm the Time Lord, blah, blah, blah. A really cool new way of doing it, of being like, boom, yep, look, 2 hearts, I'm different. Like,
really it feels very natural as well, because she's already on a alien planet with robots and the like, and she's been told how different these people are, which I actually really like that touch, because we're constantly seeing quote unquote humans in Doctor Who that aren't humans, they just look identical. And so to have that little, just little differences here and there, I felt that was a really nice touch. And for someone in healthcare to be really interested in that is really great. I mean, it's also just a real show of a character for her to not only help people who either fear and or hate her just based on what their culture has become, but also the fact that she doesn't want anything else to do with this. She would rather go back home and do a 12 to 12 and a half hour shift in nursing, which again, pretty hellish for my fiance.
Yeah,
that's really
working in the current NHS, like,
yeah.
Oh my god!
Props to you for wanting to go back.
Yeah, my god, yeah. And what I love about it is what? Can I say something actually a second? You talk about people that either like think like she's amazing because of their culture, or think she's. I don't get Manny's fucking deal where he's like, "Oh, it's all your fault," and he's just such a fucking dick to her. I'm like, dude, it ain't her fault. Like, I get it, I do, but like, fucking like step back a second, like. You know,
I mean, you do realize though, Jack, we have forgotten to discuss the best, one of the best characters of the episode.
The MVP of the episode, polish,
baby.
You know?
My god, like,
everybody wants one now. Everybody wants a polish, you know.
Oh, that needs to be a toy. I tell you what, just get that as your little Roomba.
I don't think they can get it past Robin because it's it's not I don't think it's a kid's toy. Personally.
No, but you can
it's
make
the
it
first
like
character to swallow on screen.
Welcome to your new series of Doctor Who. Here's a cum guzzling robot.
Oh my. I knew one of us was going to make a joke. I was not expecting that one, Jack. Oh my god.
Spoilers for what happens to the baddie.
Whoa.
He came and went.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's like Time Flight all over again.
Yeah. No.
That's what the sequel was. This was a Time Flight sequel.
God damn it.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, that little robot is adorable. Everyone loves a polish,
We've got polish, and we've got the Flinks. We've got two awesome new Doctor Who robots in our Doctor Who. Like, oh yes, I'm down for it.
Absolutely, yeah. And then obviously, Belinda trying to be selfless is like, leave all these rebels behind, take me. She switches polish back on and is taken back to the to the AI then, and that set's fucking cool. Like, that set is really cool. Like, there's almost Star Wars in the sort of the walkway with the smoke and the gas, and then leading up to.
It's Wizard of Oz is what it is. It's
it is Wizard of Oz. Of course it is. Yeah. Oh my god. It's absolutely. And then even with the reveal that behind the face or behind the curtain is just a fucking dude. A fucking dude, because it's not AI. It's Al for Alan.
Alan. Can I just say Alan? Yep.
Al. Alan.
You good, Jack?
Alan.
Thank you. Can I just say, I saw that reveal coming a mile away. I did. Like, the moment I saw that massive face, I was like, they're going to do Wizard of Oz. You don't set up the boyfriend just to do that, not to include them back.
You saw what?
Shut up, Star.
Interesting. It is very funny because when you open up the thing, he is actually dickless as well, because he's.
Well, he definitely didn't see it coming then. But
hey. No, it's funny because he is just a dickless little man, isn't he? What Belinda describes it as Planet of the Incels, which this is kind of one of my biggest problems with it. Not the takedown of incels, because much like the fuck the Tories moment in Joy to the World, I'll always be there to it. I just wish it wasn't so surface level.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, he wasn't very nice to me, and yeah, you can see that. He's telling her that he can't text this person. He's saying he shouldn't wear this, and he's a bit sort of like, it's a bit more coercive control, a bit more sort of that manipulative, and you could see it turning into incel or DV sort of behavior. But I wouldn't say it's so overt, the idea of the incel or misogyny that he represents. I think if you're going to do it, go the full hog, personally, because I felt like if you're going to be like, yeah, fuck you incels, which absolutely we'll all get behind that, won't we?
Oh, 100%.
But like, go for it. Make it very clear what you're going for. If you compare this to something very recently, something like that's just come out, on Netflix, is a big hit, is Adolescence, with their sort of, deconstructing what is that toxic masculinity that's set up by fuckwads like, people I want to reference here, but even, certain US presidents even, it's like, really go the full hog, really make that word incel mean something, because that's one thing that has annoyed me post the episode as well. It's become Doctor Who Twitter's new buzzword is, oh, you're an incel. Oh, you're an incel.
Yeah.
And it's like, just, if we're going to use it, let's use it properly. Let's use it when it really applies.
I think you've really kind of nailed one of my kind of issues with the episode. Like, I think the idea is certainly there, and I wish they kind of gave it more focus. Like, I'm really glad that, like, Belinda obviously dumped him ages ago. You wouldn't want to be with him for a long time. I'm not saying that at all. God, no. Like, but if you could, like, I don't know, I felt like if it could have more focused on that, so it would have been more, this is the focus of the story. Like, this is what's the kind of negative part of the story. Instead, I felt there was kind of multiple themes that kind of all smashed together. Like, the very in-your-face AI generator being the bad guy, that really made my eyes roll. I saw that and I was like, you've got an episode called The Robot Revolution, and you could have easily have made it like a story about how AI bad. But it's not really even the AI being bad. They're just being controlled by an incel who's, a fucking incel, so fuck them. But it's like, it felt like Russell T Davies wanted to sort of incorporate a lot of different things and threw them together. And maybe my second watch, I'll be sort of less critical of those things, because again, I've only watched this the once, but I did kind of roll my eyes a bit with the AI generator, and I did feel like we just needed a bit more kind of, like, this story is about how kind of awful this incel is and how kind of we rise above them, and we kind of show off that kind of aspect of the story, because it does feel kind of like not really part of the story. Like, it's an aspect, but I wouldn't call it like the main theme. I'm sorry, I'm very kind of going a bit on a tangent here. I don't know if that kind of makes sense.
Not at all. No, not at all. I didn't think so. No, I think what you're saying there makes sense. Yeah, I think that's, talking about that there, I think I'm happy sort of leaving that part and moving on to
sure.
I did like how we had the sort of Chekhov's gun of when two copies of the same thing exist in the same sort of space, they explode, and that coming back to being what's needed for resolution of the episode. I thought that's really cool. The two star like certificates touching sets off this really trippy fucking great sequence, of like them all falling back, and of Alan rapidly aging, and Belinda and the Doctor then absorbing that because he's a Time Lord, and Alan then I don't know.
I'm not a fan.
This is where it falls apart for me a little bit, because they say that every ninth word is you slipping through, and he's revealing with every ninth word he's being like, "Help me, I'm in pain," So then they help him by
getting him killed.
Yeah.
And we've also just established that he's an incel. It's not like, oh, he was a bit over controlling, but we can. No, I don't even want to say fix him. There's like, no, we've established that he's just full incel. Like when he arrives on the planet, he's like, oh, it's like a video game. I can go to town and just kill people. So it definitely feels like, look, if you wanted the sympathetic route, go for the sympathetic route. If you wanted just full on monster, go full on monster. It's like, I think RTD wanted to make him a bit of a. It's weird. It's like I want him to be a sympathetic villain or have that human aspect away from the machines. But then you're reminded about how horrible a person they are, and we're meant to be, no, this person is unforgivable, they should die type thing. It's a bit of a mixed message, I find.
Yeah. I think it does come down to as well that Russell himself is 60, I believe, and he's now writing much younger characters, and it's not really, maybe it's not understanding it as well, or
maybe
I don't know, but I do admit it's tough as well because it's the Doctor and Belinda don't show any empathy the fact that he has died, and they don't necessarily have to, but maybe because he was a person, they're there in the moment. But like, he's reduced to a sperm and an egg, and Polish comes along and swallows him. Yep. And it's like, and they laugh, and it's like, oh, but he was asking for help. I don't know. It's kind of weird mixed messaging. Is all it is, Again, incel, fuck them. But
yeah, like maybe we'll understand it a bit more in our second watch. Like, we've addressed this already, and sometimes the second watch is a bit better. And as you say, RTD is writing for younger characters. Like, if you're not writing for something you're familiar with, there's going to be flaws. I'm trying to sort of give the benefit of the doubt with that. Star, what do you think to it? What's your take?
Oh, I'm just having a thought. Polish has a sperm and an egg. Is Polish pregnant?
Huh.
Star's asking the questions that we, the fans, either never think of.
That's the finale. Polish Junior.
Wow.
Polish Junior is Mrs. Flood.
Fuck off.
And it's still a better theory than the Ron.
Well, it's a better theory than Anita. Absolutely. What was I gonna? I want to whiz back very quickly to one thing as well. It does kind of tie into things here. I love the bit where the Doctor talks about timey-wimey, and Belinda goes, "Timey-wimey? What am I, 6?"
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, that's cool, because we always hear that, and fans quote it sort of, to a nauseating degree, the whole timey-wimey and timey-wimey, timey-wimey, bubble, what is you speaking? No, it's nice to see that, and it ties into things from the end of the episode as well when she enters the TARDIS, which I think we've got another case of the episode being too short and scenes being cut out, because when the Doctor's TARDIS is brought back to him, Belinda goes, "This is your TARDIS?" Despite the fact the Doctor never said the word TARDIS in the episode beforehand.
So
I didn't notice that.
This
also,
is the question, though.
I do believe the bit when they go to the orb, I could be wrong about this, Belinda, I believe, shouts Doctor to him, but he hasn't told her his name yet, I don't think.
I think there's another case of something she says which they hadn't established. me and my fiance picked it out during the episode, and I wish I wrote it down because I can't remember it since. But I'm I'm very curious if more likely, very much more likely, it's going to be a case of cut content, or it could be that they're actually playing up the fact that there's things that she's knowing that she shouldn't know. And that's actually going to be a plot relevant thing. And that's going to be a kind of,
Maybe.
for a better word, bad wolf kind of thing, if you're looking for a
Maybe,
word.
but also I do think that if that was the case, then the Doctor's a fucking idiot for not pulling up on it straight away.
Yeah,
You
that as well. You know, the Doctor's smart. He would not miss that.
So, like, I just think it's a case of, like, the hit the button thing of, of Space Babies to liken it to that, where it's like, oh, maybe this could have been a bit longer. Maybe there's a scene that's been cut that might have been a bit relevant here. But I don't know. It's a tough one, isn't it?
It is interesting that the people who've watched it once have noticed more than the person who's watched it twice.
I don't know. It's funny. I was waiting to watch it all day. I really needed Doctor Who. Like, I really needed Doctor Who after what we'd done sort of 24 hours before. I needed it. So I sat there going, I don't know. It's funny. I was expecting to sit there like I usually do when I watch Doctor Who, where I'm sort of like a clapping seal going like, Doctor Who, but I was much more sort of, I don't know, critically charged for some reason. So I was just sort of thinking about it more, but maybe I need to learn to switch my brain off of that first watch again. But,
you know what it is, Jack? And I think I've been a little bit like that as well. Because I was really excited for this episode. I even, before this episode, we watched Boom with my partner because she had never seen Boom. It was the one episode that she missed of the last series. And it just so happened to tie in so much to this one. So it was a perfect segue. I was really excited for it. And I know I'm probably the most critical of it, like, out there. I was actually really glad that me and my family were kind of in the minority of, like, people who enjoyed this episode. Like, when I went on to Twitter and to Blue Sky, I thought, oh man, a lot of people are going to really harp on this episode. They're not going to enjoy it. And I didn't want that for Doctor Who, because I think so many people have been kind of a bit negative towards season 2. We had that real hype, and then we had all of those kind of news dumps right before the episode came out as to the uncertainty of the series. And I think that put a real stink on things. And that was a real shame, because I know that really killed a lot of momentum for people. I don't know if maybe that worry in the back of our heads kind of made us a bit more critical of the first episode than we maybe would have liked to have been. Because I know we're both very excited, but maybe.
I do think it's a tough one, isn't it? Because I do think that, and I do think this ties back to my sort of idea, I said earlier about how I enjoyed the episode Space Babies more, but I think this is a better first episode for a series, because I think Space Babies was Rusty Davis almost shooting himself in the foot with the first episode there, because it's so sort of outlandish and silly for a casual audience, whereas this is much more something people can just sort of watch and enjoy and be sort of like, oh, it's spacey, it's personally. And I do think that there's an also element of people judging this episode of being like, this is your mission statement again now, this is what Russell has said, always now apparently, that, the deal with Series 3 was it's always going to be commissioned after Season 2. It's like, bro, if this is your Season 2 opener, it's got to be strong. So it's also like, I think there could be some people that are sort of like maybe overhyping it because they're wanting it to be received well so that we can definitely have Season 3. There are some people that maybe are disappointed by it because they think it should have been to a height for it to justify season 3 happening. And maybe there are just some people that just like, I just liked it because it's Doctor Who, you know, and maybe there's some people that like it, you know, because they think it stands up critically. I feel like I've just described every single layer of
no,
you know.
Like, Jack, I think you've honestly kind of really hit the nail on the head there, because I think I went into this episode really being excited, really being like, no, I'm here for good Doctor Who. And I think knowing kind of how much I had to kind of deliver, and knowing that this was the first episode of a new series and this is the first episode of introducing a new character, I think I was probably a little bit more critical in some places, which is why when we eventually go back to rewatching all these episodes for our season 2 retrospective, I'm actually really looking forward to seeing if my opinion changes. You know, time changes all, and I would really like to sort of be in the same light as the other more positive reviews for this episode, which I am so grateful for that positivity. There's been too much negativity in the Doctor Who community, which, let's face it, we're all huge fans.
When is there not?
When is there not? I know. I'm asking the impossible for us all to hold hands and sing the Doctor Who theme instead of Kumbaya. No, the Doctor Who theme. Yeah, Doctor in Distress. Yes. I know I'm asking the impossible, but it'd just be nice if people wouldn't have so much discourse. Impossible, I know, but I'm just really glad though that when I did go on social media, people were praising it, people were loving it, and I want that positivity going into the rest of the series.
Yeah, I just wish I saw it. I just wish I saw the same sort of 9 out of 10 episode that people are hyping it up to be, you know. But you know, hey, is what it is, you know. And I guess that brings us to the very end of the episode where we have that sort of final part there where the Doctor and Belinda can't hit Earth, and you know, she questions him on his bullshit with the scanning of her DNA without her consent. And I love that bit because you really see the Doctor's face slowly drop of, oh, she's not enthralled by the same mystical bullshit as other people. She's no Ruby, she's no Yaz. You know, it's yeah. It's nice to see that, you know, it's refreshing, I gotta say. So then when we have that final setup of them not being able to get to Earth for some reason, the exact date they need to, you know, almost like he's trying to get to Heathrow in the 80s.
Bringing it back to Time Flight.
Yeah, bringing it back to Time Flight. And then we have that really cool shot of, for some reason, the star certificate again framed. Parts of the Eiffel Tower, part of the Statue of Liberty, which, by the way, is a weeping angel.
Damn you to hell!
Just floating in space there. So it's a really cool sort of visual, that, you know, and obviously the calendar coming into things there as well, which is like, this is very interesting, you know. So it's, you know, it's going to be really cool to see what sort of happens when we hit the final 2 episodes, when we start getting some answers around this, I imagine.
The last 5 minutes of this episode really had me hooked again. The knowing that we're getting a companion who is going to be a lot more like challenging of the Doctor, which is such a freshness to the companionship, because I love Ruby Sunday. She's actually up there as one of my sort of favorite companions. That's how much I love her. So to see Belinda,
I just wish we'd have more of her. Personally, that's my only real criticism of her. Is I wish we'd have more. You know.
And to get this stinger as well, this kind of, oh, shit is going to go down, and we've got that calendar date and everything, and we've set up the whole kind of getting her back, so we've actually got an overarching plot for this series, which I'm very excited for. What I'm very nervous by is that I'm very excited for this, but as you've already pointed out, it rings very true to Space Babies. And season 1 and season 2 were filmed back to back. which means RTD wouldn't have gotten any feedback for how people took to the end of season 1. I'm really nervous if he ends up just doing another, oh no, Belinda's not special in any way. It's just circumstance again. That
I don't mind that so much though, because I feel like they're not setting up a promise that Belinda is special like they did with Ruby. Belinda's not.
I don't know.
I suppose in a way, a little bit. I wouldn't say to the same extent.
But it's like they brought up the whole connection to Monday. It is Monday, isn't it? Like
Monday Flynn. Yeah.
Yeah, like they sort of set up that connection, and it's like, oh, it's coincidence, So that's kind of what has me worried. And I want to be wrong. I want it just to be like a really, really great payoff, and we're going to obviously see. But I'm both excited, but I'm also cautiously excited.
It's interesting though, because like it's coincidence, and that instantly made me think of Church on Ruby Road, where it's the power of coincidence. It's could be something in that, and we know things are going supernatural again or staying supernatural, so it's going to be interesting.
I'm going to say supernatural. I'm going on Tumblr.
Carry on, my wayward daughter. It's fine. Okay. It sets up a promise I really hope they fulfill this year, and I'm excited for more. Like, I can't wait for Lux next week. We all know that's the one I'm really, really pumped for.
We're all excited for that.
Yeah, we'll see now. Okay. I was going to rate it, this one, personally. I'd give it 7 out of 10. Maybe a 6 even, personally. Yeah. Do you know what? I'm going to be nice. I'm excited for Doctor Who. 7 out of 10.
Okay. Star, do you want to go next?
9 out of 10. I just really fucking enjoyed it. It's just silly, stupid Doctor Who. I would rewatch this anytime. It felt familiar in a way it hasn't for a while. It kind of had that nostalgia about being nostalgia kind of vibe for me, and when I was watching it just flew by. I think that's my only critique there. It flew by because I was enjoying it and I wanted more. But yeah, honestly, I just really, really loved it. I didn't have many high expectations. I was just, Doctor Who's on. This is excellent.
Robin, tear it the fuck apart.
Oh, I feel so like, oh my god,
buddy. I'll tell you what. Let's say it now, and I know I joke about stuff sometimes as well, but all opinions are valid here.
Yeah, so, no, completely.
Go ahead.
Like, which is why I'm really glad that the majority of people are liking this. More positive to the series. However, me and my family on the first watch thought it was pretty bad, actually. Like, really, really didn't enjoy it. Like, not awful at all. There was some amazing, like, cinematography. There's some wonderful, like, designs for the robots, and the ending is great. Some great acting moments, but there's just a lot of parts of it which just didn't quite sit right, where I felt they tried to focus on too many themes, and I personally felt on the first watch, and I feel like my opinion is going to change on this, but on my first watch it felt as if they didn't have as much time between Belinda and the Doctor as I would have liked, whereas the threat of the episode was far more in the foreground than it should have been in the background, which I personally feel an episode 1 should be, between a companion and Doctor. I think the more we've kind of talked about it, I've kind of looked back and enjoyed it more. And I think on a second watch, I'll probably end up giving it like a 6 out of 10. But for now, I feel like the the grumpy old man, I feel like I'm going to be giving it like a 5 out of 10.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine, man. I've been the grumpy old man here before. It's, it is what it is. And again, it's valid, 5 out of 10. Cool.
Yeah.
Lovely. I tell you what, let's find out what our listeners thought. Let's head on over to the Space Time Telegraph.
Space Time Telegraph.
I don't know why I said that like that. That Wallace and Gromit TikTok from a few years ago. Like, come on, Gromit, we got to hide the body. There's no cheese in prison, lad. Okay, let's head on over to Twitter first of all. We ask for your opinions on the episode like we do every other. First one comes from enemy of the podcast, Catherine Wheeler. The cat is relevant. Not all that shines is gold. Sometimes it's shit with lens flares and plastic-looking monsters. I would elaborate, but I don't care enough to spend the time.
Savage.
Catherine.
I'm glad it's not just me then.
I kind of stand that. I kind of love it. Next ones, I've closed Twitter straight away. I'm so fucking glad. I'm over on Blue Sky now. First one comes from Natalie Sama, says cinema. Cool, okay. And then, for some fucking reason, Catherine Wheeler's there again.
What? Hang on, you've already had your time. Shoot.
She's been a bit Mrs. Flood, she is. Oh, maybe Mrs. Flood is the war chief.
How long have you been holding on to that?
She's going to kill me, that.
Yeah.
So she first says mid, and then she says, "You're so welcome." XX. Thanks, Kat. Next one comes through Andrew Walker, who says today it is the kid show version of Adolescent, and he's out of line, but he's right. I thought it was a good start for Belinda. I found interesting that the Doctor was expecting to meet another bestie like Ruby, but instead got someone who doesn't put up with his shit. The story itself was fun. It felt very RTD, does Moffat with the timelines out of sync, and the every ninth word conversation. I also loved the production design of the planet. Reminded me of the first Dalek movie. Lower another part of the script wouldn't have hurt to flesh out certain moments. Yeah, totally agree with that. Thank you, Andrew. Next ones come from YouTube this time. So first one comes from Liz Huran, who says, "It was fun. The robots were beautifully designed and were quite funny. Belinda is great, and I like her not taking guff from the Doctor. I'm not that convinced about the season arc right now, but they have 7 more episodes to win me over." Fair enough, yeah. Next one comes from CR Pal Stuck 2966. Feels very much like an evolved version of Space Babies. Belinda immediately feels like a much more developed and interesting character, which in turn helps characterize the Doctor even more. Her immediately deciding to end the war no matter what by giving herself up selflessly really endeared me to her. The whole everything being named Miss Belinda Tranda was was hilarious. And I do really like the stance that Russell is taking here about how AI being used by assholes and incels inherently harmful to everyone. I thought we already spoke about Twitter. I think Belinda and 15 already have an interesting dynamic, and I'm excited to see how that changes and grows. There's some small nitpicks, like how easy the robots just kind of give up being evil, and how Belinda seems to know what a TARDIS is without ever being brought up as a concept before. But it doesn't really detract too much, even, I should say. A really solid start to the series, and I'm fascinated to see more. Very excited to see the scripts written by other authors than RTD in the future. Also, RTD manages to fit in a cum-guzzling robot joke, and that's crazy to me. Yeah, true. Okay. Next one comes from Joe Collier 4923. It was really good. Now I'm biased because getting Docky Who on your birthday is always a good feeling. Happy birthday!
Happy
Joe.
birthday!
Right now, yeah. But the Doctor taking a man baby, taking down a man baby by regressing him to to a zygote was satisfying, even given the world. Also, the robots almost seemed like an evolved form of the emoji bots, which how their faces display works. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, agree with that totally. And then lastly, checking the An Awful Lot of Running email. If you ever want to send one to us, please send one to An Awful Lot of Running podcast@gmail.com. We all try and read it out. It's our Thomas Beach essay, but let's go into it now. Oh, we love Thomas Beach. We love essays from him. Let's hear his thoughts in the episode. Thomas says, "Greetings, Jack, Robin, and Star." Not to be confused with the star named Miss Belinda Chandra. It's great to have Doctor Who on screens again. I felt there was an efficient build-up and excitement with the trailers and the ominous idents with destroyed iconography, which led to excitement from myself and my mum. As for the episode itself, my impressions were overall quite positive. I really enjoyed the induction to Varda Sefu's Belinda. I love her relatability, and genuine dry wit with a perfect counterbalance to Shooty's Doctor. She feels like a speed bump to Shooty's infectious charm, but in the best way. It was great to see extra shades from Shooty's performance, a sense that he feels irked when his companions or allies aren't playing along. Instances being in the bunker when Belinda is occupied and the patients are not looking over his shoulder, which I loved how this was conveying, the cinematography in a POV, which is typically through the companion's viewpoint, only to have it juxtaposed by the long shot of Belinda going nowhere near the Doctor. Just really clever direction there, honestly. A highlight of the whole episode for me was the set design and vibes. The retro futurism of the 1950s really scratches a sci-fi itch for me, being a fan of films like Flash Gordon, Forbidden Planet, Lost in Space, etc. Something I will praise this era for is the dedication to practical sets and effects. From the Royal Chambers to the actual Miss Belinda Chandra bots, it's great to see the budget used in this way. Really adds some polish to the stories.
Hey.
I only really have a few negatives to the story. My main would be the pacing. The story moves at a breakneck pace, only really slowing during the Doctor and Belinda's 9-word conversation to the bunker interlude. It was a struggle to get a sense of Belinda's life from the short runtime of her normal life. Also, her relationship with Alan was just swooshed and a short scene at the opening, and oh wait, there's a little bit more clip at the very end. I don't know. Trying to build this AI generator villain mystery up with very clear little clues, and then trying to dress it up with this marvelous twist. There's always a twist at the end, Robin. Marvelous. Marvelous. At the end, just feels disingenuous. Frankly, it's just an reoccupying trend to modern RTD writing, which is irking me a little, and something I hoped would have been addressed between seasons. Irking us too, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
You're speaking very true to things here. I tell you that now, Thomas. Overall, I felt like this is a very fun piece of Doctor Who, a blast to enjoy. It scratched a cheesy sci-fi itch and would feel at home in the classic Who eras of the 80s. I'm excited to see the Doctor companion dynamic flourish in the next 7 episodes. I'm wary of the Mrs. Flood crumbs and the recycling of the important date coincidentally being the broadcast date of the series finale, like in Series 6, but time will tell. 7.5 out of 10.
Okay.
And Lisa Marie's thoughts. I'm not doing an impression of Lisa Marie. I've learned my lesson. Hi, Jack, Rob, and Star. It's not the worst episode of Doctor Who I've seen. There's certainly been more exciting Series 2 debut episodes, but it was certainly an improvement on from the flat ending of Series 1. Love Varida's character, Belinda. Could see myself in her, being that we're nurses, but also had an egotistical, coercive ex called Alan. Wow.
Ooh. Wow, yeah.
The robots and the practical effects were great to see, and it's wonderful to see a companion go against the charm of the Doctor. Having an unwilling companion is more interesting to me than the previous companions. It's a good angle to approach. Having the challenge will add to the drama and make me more engaged in the stories, I hope. I'm not sure where the series is going to go, but I'm looking forward to the journey. I'm hoping the destination won't fall as flat as Season 1's Legend of Ruby Sunday and Empire of Death. 7 out of 10. Thanks for having me again. Thanks again for giving our thoughts a read. Very excited to hear your thoughts in the pod. Happy times and places. Thomas, Miss Belinda Chandra, Beach, and Melissa Marie.
Those are all fantastic and varied responses. It's great when we can have all those different sort of opinions, and it's interesting when some of them match our own. It's thank you everyone for your great responses.
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody. Okay, and
before you do anything else, this is the point where I will switch off my little background thing. There we go.
Exciting.
Oh.
The cover
hey!
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Crap, that's
talk a bit, Star.
What, talk about?
There we are. Now I can see it. Oh, that's gorgeous. Oh, that looks so professional. Thank you, Star.
That's because she is a professional.
Yeah. Okay. I will say I'm going to. I did have to get 2 photos of you. Your head is a little too big, but it kind of works.
It's not the first time you've heard that, is it, Robin?
Hey!
It's a penis joke.
I was so on the edge, just waiting to say that.
Oh, you're on the edge, you? Interesting.
Did
awful lot of edging.
Yes. You wait. Just as the episode goes on, my head slowly sort of just begins to spin around, so that audiences don't quite realize.
You might want to get that checked out, Robin. That's not supposed to do that.
No.
Let's move from nut busting to a different busting.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's head on over
to the podcast.
The Cannon Buster.
Are we actually keeping any of that?
Yes.
Oh well.
Oh my.
And look, people are used to our shenanigans by this point.
Oh yeah, they have to be. So the Cannon Buster usually is a little ode to our friend Davis and his series Broke Canon, where we try and bring out something weird about the continuity of Doctor Who we have to understand and have to accept to be canon, because it's either all canon or we're just not having fun, basically. Robin, I did something different this week.
Ooh. How different?
I passed the buck and I asked Star to do it instead.
Hey.
So I scavenged, I looked at everything I could, I even looked at sperm on TARDIS Wiki.
Excuse me.
It is disappointing, as most men are, no offense.
Hi-oh!
Wow.
And after all my scavenging, I've twisted the idea of Cannon Buster to not exactly canon, but real life. And obviously, we were talking about stars and star certificates and stuff. In 2018, NASA added a bunch of new gamma ray star configurations. And one of them is named TARDIS.
Really?
So there is somewhere out there TARDIS 1 full of TARDIS bots.
Wow.
That's cool.
It is technically unofficially called that. It was just a little project that NASA did. They named some other constellations at the time. One's named after the Hulk, one after the Enterprise, and there's even one called Godzilla.
Oh,
hell yeah.
Gogeta.
So Godzilla and the TARDIS are somewhere out there fighting in space.
Nice.
That's the crossover I need. If we can have Justice League versus Godzilla, hell yes, we can have Doctor Who versus Godzilla.
Dr. Kaiju.
Hey, now we're talking. Oh, thank you so much, Star, for bringing it this week.
That's great.
I figured, I always love doing the Cannon Busters. I had a bit less time today, and I thought, you know what? Let's share that responsibility more. So maybe, Robin, I'll be asking you to bring something to play next time.
Oh, I can do that. Yeah.
He remembers.
Wow. Star, there's the door. You can let yourself out. Nice having you on for this episode.
I'm here for the whole thing now. You're stuck with me until after the finale, in which case I might leave. I might not. You have to
Who
play it.
knows? Who knows? Well, I tell you what, everyone, join us next week when we review the next episode of season 2, Lux. And
With
until
my
then,
special edition cover.
oh yes, Star's been
Very
cooking this one for a
special.
while. Until that time, I've been Jack.
I have been Robin.
I have been Star. Again.
And I tell you all now, let's get home, but the long way round. And in order to do that, it's going to require an awful lot of running. Run for your lives!